You know, guys, I always do like a good encyclopedia. And I also just tend to like old things. So I'm kind of excited about this video and about what I have to share with you today. This should be of interest to anyone who enjoys taking your Bible and theological study to the next level and who gets into the academic side of doing research. Today, we're going to be talking about two totally free online Bible encyclopedias. These are totally free. You don't even have to create an account. The only downside, or some of you may actually consider this a feature rather than a bug, but the only potential downside is that they are on the older side. One is from 1939 and the other is from 1880. But before you dismiss these works because of their age, at least give them a chance and check them out and see if you don't think that there's something of value here. Because I can tell you that these remain today respected reference works by many Bible students. Now, without further ado, let's just jump right into this. All right, guys, let's check this out. So if you bring up a browser window and you go to internationalstandardbible.com, internationalstandardbible.com, then that's going to bring you to this page right here. And we will see this heading here at the top, Introduction to the ISBE. We'll see that the ISBE stands for International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, and that it was published in 1939, as I mentioned earlier, and that this website includes the complete text. If we scroll down just a little bit more, we will see a couple of paragraphs here that'll give us some information about the encyclopedia. Let's read these real quick. It says the ISBE is a classic Bible reference compiled from nearly 10,000 entries written by over 200 different Bible scholars and teachers. In addition to the encyclopedia articles, all of the major words of the Bible are represented and defined. The historical, cultural, and linguistic information in the ISBE can be of great value in Bible study and research. I will go ahead and mention real quick that this encyclopedia actually was updated in the late 1900s. I believe the first volume of the updated edition came out in 1979, if I'm remembering correctly. And for some reason, the final volume didn't come out until 1995. Why there was a 16-year gap between the first volume and the last, and why the whole thing wasn't just released at one time, I don't know. That's kind of a mystery to me, but that's the way it was. But the encyclopedia was updated. If you have any interest, then you can actually find the updated edition on eBay. I actually own a set myself. It's pretty cool. It's a very good encyclopedia. And I think I paid maybe $200 for it. But if that's of interest to you, then you can check that out. But the text on this website is the 1939 edition. So we will just kind of move forward here and learn a little bit more about that. If we scroll down a little bit, we will see a nice little photo here of the physical edition of the 1935 set, or 1939 rather. And if we continue to scroll down, we're going to hit this alphabetical index. And let's just take a look here at one of the articles. And what I'm going to do, just to give you guys an idea of what the articles look like and kind of what the format is, let's take a look real quick at the article for the book of Jonah. And as we get there, just look at all this different stuff that we're scrolling through, just all kinds of different topics here that we can click on and learn more about. But we're going to go down here to the book of Jonah, and if you're wondering why Jonah, really for no other reason than the simple fact that I love that book, and I think it's a great little book. I think that it's kind of maybe underrated, underappreciated. You know, I think everybody, of course, has heard the name Jonah. We all know the story of Jonah and the whale, but how many people have really taken the time to study that book in depth? I don't think the number is really great. And so I just love to turn people's attention to the book of Jonah. I think it really is an excellent little book that is worthy of serious attention. But anyway, we'll go ahead and click on here and we'll see Jonah, the book of here. Has a little introduction. Scroll down a little bit. First heading here, contents of the book. and it's going to give us a little bit of an overview of the story of Jonah. Section 2 here, the aim of the book. It's going to talk about the purpose of the writer here. This is an interesting section here. Section 3, is the book history? And the first heading under that is, what did our Lord teach? And then so you have a whole section here just about what Jesus himself taught about the book of Jonah. If you go down a little bit farther, you're going to hit this section here, modern critical views, or at least modern for 1939. It's going to talk a little bit about that. Section here on the authorship and the date of the book. Section on the unity of the book. And then finally, when we get down here to the end, this is quite interesting in my opinion. We're going to hit this heading here that says literature. And you should have a similar section, I believe, on every article, at least all the articles that I looked at. But you're going to have this heading here, literature, and it's going to suggest commentaries and other literature about the topic that you can track down and read if you can find this stuff. But the interesting thing is that because the Encyclopedia came out in 1939, all the sources that it cites are going to be old. And for instance, the oldest one here is from 1861. And then the newest one, it looks like, is 1912. But I really thought that this was interesting because you can use this section to find works that probably you've never heard of. I'm not sure how easy it would be to actually find copies of a lot of the works that are going to be found in the literature section on the various articles in this encyclopedia. But, if you don't insist on cutting edge scholarship and the very latest stuff, if you do have an interest in maybe going back and reading some of the other earlier literature on these subjects, then this is a great way to learn about some things that you probably don't know about. And if you can track some of the stuff down, then maybe it'll be worth the read. But anyway, if we go back up here and look on the right-hand side, then we're going to see a few different links. And one of these is going to say McClintock and Strong, Biblical Cyclopedia. And if we click on that, then it's going to bring up this page. And it says about the Cyclopedia. And it says the Cyclopedia of Biblical, Theological, and Ecclesiastical Literature was edited by John McClintock and James Strong. Okay, pause. James Strong. If that name doesn't immediately ring a bell for you, then you may have heard of Strong's Concordance. And if you've heard of Strong's Concordance, well, the guy who put that together is James Strong, the same James Strong that was an editor of this encyclopedia. But it goes on to say that the Cyclopedia contains nearly 50,000 articles. Remember, the ISBE only had 10,000. But it contains nearly 50,000 articles pertaining to biblical and other religious literature, people, creeds, etc. It is a fantastic research tool for broad Christian study. And this that it says here near the end about being a research tool for broad Christian study is true. The scope of this encyclopedia is much broader than the ISBE. The ISBE really just focuses on the Bible, whereas this goes into, as it says, other literature. It goes into a lot of different people you probably have definitely never heard of, people I've certainly never heard of. I was just scrolling through the lists and just name after name after name of people that were absolute total strangers to me. And in fact, if we go here, I was looking at this earlier. If we jump out to the Wikipedia article, then it actually has a section on the scope of the encyclopedia. It says here, under the scope section, as an encyclopedia, the authors set out to create a scholarly work, but accessible to the non-expert, designed to be a manual of sacred literature for the use of ministers, students, general readers, and Sunday school libraries, so complete in itself that no other work will be necessary for ordinary purposes of reference in these branches of knowledge. Topics covered in the volumes include descriptions of proper names, locations, events, theological concepts, histories of the Christian churches, and biographical sketches of notable religious figures. Yeah, and that's true. That's true. So if we scroll down, then we're going to hit this alphabetical index just like we had before. And just to give you an idea of kind of what I was talking about, if we click here and like I went down to John, and you're just going to see just all of these Johns. John Patriarch of Constantinople, John Alexandrinus, whoever that is, John Frederick, John the first Pope of Rome, John of Antioch, John of Damascus. You know, John, all these Johns here. And it just keeps going. It just keeps going and going and going. John with all kinds of Roman numerals after their names. And it just goes and goes. Till finally, we finally get down here to Johnson. Okay. But that gives you a little bit of an idea just of the scope. Just all these various Johns. You can come here and learn about them. And another thing I was taking a look at as well, I was just curious to know if it has an article on the Waldensians. And if you don't know who the Waldensians are, they were kind of a proto-Protestant group, you know, Protestantism before Martin Luther, essentially. If that is not too anachronistic for you. But I was just wondering if they had an article on the Waldensians in here. And I was just going down and let's see here. What was I taking a look at? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the Waldensians, also known as the Waldenses. Yes, it does. It does have an article about them. And similar to our format in the other encyclopedia, you've got a little introduction here. First section, doctrines. What are the doctrines the Waldensians believed? History of their persecutions. And they were, in fact, greatly persecuted. Present condition, at least present as of 1939. And then once again, a literature section. A literature section with a lot of older works. You know, we see 1838, just at a glance here is the earliest that it looks like I'm seeing. Oh, whoa, 1796, wow. But anyway, once again, just a lot of older pieces of literature that you can track down and learn more about the Waldenses. So, interesting stuff. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. 2 free encyclopedias, like I said. And if we go up here and we look here on the right-hand side, a couple other links to some other resources as well. But yeah, 2 very interesting websites. I definitely think you should check them out. Well, there you go. 2 free Bible encyclopedias that are available for your immediate use. I do hope that you get something out of these and that you learn a lot. I personally have long kind of had a fascination with encyclopedias. The very concept of the encyclopedia is fascinating to me, where a summary of all knowledge in general or all knowledge on a specific topic is brought together into a single resource. There's just something about that conceptually that's awesome to me. So when I found these 2 websites, I just thought they were super cool. I don't know who runs these websites, but whoever they are, God bless them. They are truly doing the Lord's work as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, if you haven't already done so, please click like for me, click subscribe, and click the bell. Leave a comment as well if you found this interesting. And as always, I will talk to you later.